He forced me to put everything in his name for protection. Then I discovered my father left me $200 million and divorced him with just the prenup he wanted. Before we dive in, please take a second to subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. It means more than you know. Now let's continue this story. I'm sitting in a lawyer's office right now and my hands won't stop shaking. Not from fear, from pure incandescent rage. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began, because what I'm about to tell you will make your blood boil. 3 years ago I married Joel Thompson. Tall, charismatic, successful, or so I thought. He swept me off my feet with his charm and confidence. "Baby, you're too trusting," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "The world's cruel to black women with assets. Let me protect you." That word, protection, became his favorite weapon. I should have seen the red flags. My best friend Gloria warned me. "Girl, why does everything need to be in his name?" she'd asked over brunch, her eyes full of concern. I defended him. God, I defended him. "He's looking out for me, Gloria. He understands finance better than I do." The gaslighting started subtly. Our house, the one I'd saved for years to afford, suddenly needed to be in his name for tax purposes. My car? "Insurance is cheaper if I'm the primary owner, babe." My business accounts? "You're too emotional to handle finances. Let me manage our wealth." Our wealth. That phrase makes me sick now. It was never our anything. It was mine, and he systematically stole it all while I smiled and signed documents, trusting the man who promised to love and protect me. If you've ever felt that gut instinct screaming at you, please listen to it. I ignored mine and it nearly destroyed me. But this story has a twist that'll leave you speechless. Joel didn't just manipulate me, he bought my family. That's what hurts most. My mother, Rachel, never liked that I was too independent. When Joel started sliding her money, suddenly I was too controlling and didn't appreciate a good man. "Sweetie," Joel called me, Mom said one afternoon, her voice dripping with manufactured concern. "He's worried about you. Says you've been acting paranoid, questioning every little thing." I remember holding the phone, feeling like I'd been slapped. My own mother was gaslighting me on his behalf. My brother Devin was worse. He'd always been jealous of my success and Joel knew it. He offered Devin a position at his company. $20,000 for basically nothing. Devin became Joel's spy, reporting my every move, every complaint I made to family. Thanksgiving became a nightmare. I'd mentioned feeling uncomfortable about the prenup Joel insisted on, the one that left me with nothing, and my sister Tanya would roll her eyes. "You're so ungrateful. He's trying to build a legacy for you both." They didn't know Joel had promised her money for graduate school. He'd systematically purchased my entire family's loyalty. My father had passed away 2 years before I met Joel. Daddy was the only one who would have seen through Joel's performance. Sometimes I'd cry at his grave, wishing he was there to protect me. "I miss you, Daddy," I'd whisper. "You would have known. You always knew." The isolation was suffocating. Every friend, every family member had been turned against me or driven away. Joel had built a perfect prison and I was too blind to see the bars. "It's standard, baby. Just protects us both." Joel slid the papers across our dining table with that smile, the one I used to find charming but now recognize as predatory. The prenup was 60 pages of legal jargon that essentially said, "If we divorce, I leave with nothing. Not even what I brought into the marriage." I balked. "Joel, this doesn't seem fair. My business, my savings. You don't trust me?" His voice dropped to that dangerous quiet. "After everything I've done for you? Managing your chaotic finances, dealing with your emotional decisions." The room felt smaller suddenly. My mother, who he'd invited to support us, chimed in, "Don't be difficult. Sign it." I signed. God help me, I signed that document that would haunt me for years. My hand trembled as I wrote my name and some part of me, the part I'd been taught to silence, screamed in protest. But I was trapped between the man I loved and the family who should have protected me. What I didn't know then was that Joel had planned this for months. He'd researched me, investigated my assets, calculated my worth down to the last dollar. I wasn't his wife, I was his mark. And the prenup? That was his insurance policy for the greatest heist of his life. "There's my good girl," he murmured, pulling me close after I signed. His cologne, expensive, suffocating, made me nauseous, but I smiled. I always smiled. That's what good wives do, right? They smile while their lives are being stolen piece by piece. The lawyer, Joel's lawyer, witnessed the signatures with a knowing look I didn't understand then. Now I wonder how many women he'd watched sign away their futures in that same office, with that same false smile plastered on their faces. The real robbery started immediately after our honeymoon. Joel had insisted on Bali, expensive, distant, romantic. While we were gone, he'd already begun transferring my business assets. I owned a successful marketing consultancy I'd built from scratch, servicing major clients, generating $500,000 annually. "Baby, I consolidated our accounts for efficiency," he announced casually one evening like he was discussing dinner plans. "Everything's under Thompson Enterprises now. Cleaner for taxes." I felt my stomach drop. "Thompson Enterprises? Joel, that's your company." "Our company," he corrected, his tone sharp. "Or don't you consider us partners?" The guilt trip worked every time. I apologized. I actually apologized for questioning him stealing my business. "If you're watching this and you recognize this pattern, please, I'm begging you, run. Run now before it's too late." My clients started calling me confused. "We got an invoice from Thompson Enterprises? What happened to your brand?" I scrambled to explain, but Joel had already told them I was restructuring. He was erasing me from my own creation, making himself the face of my decade of work. My house, got refinanced. Interest rates dropped, babe. We're saving thousands. Except the new mortgage was solely in his name, and my equity vanished into improvements I never approved. The BMW I'd worked overtime for 3 years to afford? He traded it in for a lease under his credit. "Better for our taxes," he claimed. My savings account, the one with $70,000 I'd accumulated since college, disappeared into investments. When I pressed for details, Joel showed me complicated spreadsheets that meant nothing. "Trust me. I'm growing our wealth." Our wealth. His theft. I was watching my independence dissolve in real time, and everyone around me applauded his financial genius. I started having panic attacks. Real chest-crushing, can't-breathe episodes that left me sobbing on our bathroom floor at 3 a.m. Joel would find me there, and instead of comfort I'd get lectures. "You're being dramatic. This is why I handle the finances. You're too emotional." Dr. Sarah Mitchell, my therapist, was the first person who said it out loud. "What you're describing sounds like financial abuse." Actually laughed. "Abuse? Joel didn't hit me. He provided for us." Abuse isn't always physical," Dr. Mitchell continued gently. "Controlling someone's access to resources, isolating them, making them dependent, that's abuse." I stopped going to therapy. Joel found the bills and exploded. "You're discussing our private business with strangers? That's betrayal." He cried. Actual tears streaming down his face as he accused me of violating his trust by seeking help. The manipulation was so perfect, so complete, that I comforted him. I apologized for going to therapy. Gloria staged what I now recognize as an intervention. She showed up at my door, the door to the house I no longer owned, with fire in her eyes. "I don't care if you hate me after this, but I love you too much to watch this anymore. He's destroying you. You don't understand our relationship," I defended weakly. Gloria grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to meet her eyes. "Look at yourself. You've lost 20 pounds. You apologize for breathing. You ask permission to spend money you earned. This isn't love. This is control." She left crying, and I didn't speak to her for 6 months. Joel made sure of that. "She's jealous of what we have," he'd whisper, pulling me close. "She's alone and wants you miserable too." I believed him. God, I believed every poisonous word. Then everything changed. A certified letter arrived addressed to me, just me. Joel grabbed it first, his eyes scanning the return address. Whitmore, Patterson and Associates, estate attorneys. His face went pale. "What's this about?" "I don't know," I answered honestly, reaching for it. He held it back. "We should open it together." Remember, we're partners. No secrets. But something in his tone felt desperate, almost afraid. That fear awakened something in me I'd thought he'd killed. My instinct. I snatched the letter from his hand, the first time in years I'd asserted myself. It's addressed to me. My voice shook, but I held firm. Joel's mask slipped for just a second, showing something ugly underneath before he smiled. Of course, baby. I'm just curious. The letter was formal, cold, devastating. Regarding the estate of Robert James Morrison, my father. My daddy. We request your presence for the reading of additional provisions discovered in a safety deposit box. Your attendance is mandatory for inheritance distribution. Additional provisions? Daddy had died with nothing, at least that's what we'd been told. He'd been a simple man, a postal worker who lived modestly, loved deeply, and left us with memories and $15,000 in life insurance that barely covered his funeral. What provisions could possibly exist? Joel was reading over my shoulder and I felt his body go rigid. Probably nothing. Administrative stuff. Want me to go with you? His voice was too casual, too controlled. For the first time in 3 years I said no. I'll handle it alone. That night Joel watched me like a hawk. His phone buzzed constantly. Text he angled away from my view. He was planning something. I could feel it. The law office was downtown, occupying 3 floors of a sleek building I'd passed 1,000 times without noticing. The receptionist led me to a conference room where 2 attorneys waited. A distinguished black man around 60 and a younger woman with sympathetic eyes. Ms. Morrison, I apologize, Mrs. Thompson, the man, Gerald Whitmore, began. What I'm about to tell you will be shocking. Your father left specific instructions that this information only be revealed 3 years after his passing, and only to you directly. My heart hammered. I don't understand. My father was a postal worker. Your father was many things, the woman, Jennifer Patterson, interrupted softly, including a brilliant investor who spent 40 years living modestly while building an empire in silence. They slid documents across the table. Property deeds. Stock certificates. Bank statements. My vision blurred trying to process the numbers. Millions. Tens of millions. Real estate holdings across 4 states. A diversified portfolio that would make hedge fund managers weep with envy. The current valuation of your father's estate, Gerald stated quietly, is approximately $208 million. And you, Ms. Morrison, are the sole beneficiary. The room spun. I grabbed the table to steady myself. That's impossible. We struggled. Mom worked 2 jobs. Your mother received a generous monthly allowance she chose to keep secret, Jennifer explained. Your father discovered her affair and pending divorce plans. He protected his assets but ensured she was provided for. He wanted you to inherit everything, but only when you were mature enough to handle it wisely. He knew, I whispered. Daddy knew Mom would try to take everything. Gerald nodded gravely. He was protecting you from more than your mother. The 3-year delay was intentional. Robert wanted you to marry for love, not money. He wanted to see who you'd choose without the influence of wealth. Joel. I'd chosen Joel. And now I understood his fear when that letter arrived. There's more, Gerald said, his expression darkening. We've been monitoring your situation as your father requested. Ms. Morrison, what do you know about your husband's background? Everything went cold. What do you mean monitoring? Jennifer opened a file. Thick, detailed, damning. Joel Thompson isn't who he claims. His company is a shell corporation. His wealth, non-existent. Before you, he was married twice. Both times to women with substantial assets. Both marriages ended with the women financially ruined. Photographs spilled across the table. Joel with another woman, beautiful, successful-looking, now broken and destitute according to the notes. Another woman, same story. My hands shook as I read the investigations. He was a predator. A professional con artist who targeted successful black women, married them, stripped their assets, then discarded them. Wife number 1, Michelle Roberts, lost her medical practice. Wife number 2, Angela Kemp, lost her tech startup. Both signed prenups similar to yours. Both trusted him with everything. Jennifer's voice was gentle but firm. Your father suspected something was wrong before he died. He hired investigators. By the time we had proof, he'd passed, but his instructions were clear. Protect his daughter at all costs. I couldn't breathe. 3 years. 3 years of manipulation, theft, systematic destruction of everything I'd built. And it was all calculated. Planned. He knew about my inheritance, I gasped. Somehow Joel knew. We believe your mother told him, Gerald confirmed. She was present at the original will reading. We suspect she's been receiving payments from Joel in exchange for information and cooperation in isolating you. My own mother. She'd sold me out for cash. What do I do? My voice cracked. Jennifer smiled, sharp, predatory. We fight back. And Ms. Morrison? We're going to destroy him. They laid out a plan so detailed, so perfectly constructed, I recognized my father's mind behind it. Daddy had anticipated everything. First, Gerald explained, we need to secure your inheritance without Joel's knowledge. Second, we document every instance of financial abuse and fraud. Third, we file for divorce on grounds that invalidate the prenup. How do we invalidate it? I asked, desperate. He had lawyers. I signed it willingly, under duress and false pretenses, Jennifer interrupted. Joel misrepresented his financial status, coerced you with family pressure, and the terms are unconscionable. Any judge will see it as fraudulent. But there was more. So much more. Your father established a trust, Gerald continued, sliding more documents forward. It includes provisions to recover assets stolen through coercion or fraud. Ms. Morrison, we're not just divorcing your husband. We're prosecuting him for theft, fraud, and conspiracy. The next 2 weeks were surreal. I played the perfect wife while wearing a wire. I smiled at family dinners while recording their conversations about Joel's payments. I acted clueless while investigators photographed every document, every transfer, every piece of evidence we'd need. Joel sensed nothing. His arrogance was absolute. At night he'd hold me and whisper about our future. Soon, baby, we'll have everything we need. I'm working on something big. I'd learned he was planning to force me to sign over my father's inheritance, through a power of attorney document his lawyer was preparing. He'd miscalculated, though. Fatally. Daddy hadn't just left me money, he'd left me weapons. Security footage from his hidden cameras showed Joel and my mother planning their scheme 2 months before Daddy died. Audio recordings captured every lie, every manipulation, every crime. When do we strike? I asked Jennifer during a secret meeting. She smiled coldly. Thanksgiving. When all the snakes are gathered in one nest. I hosted Thanksgiving dinner, requested it specifically. Joel was surprised but pleased. That's my girl. Finally acting like a proper wife. I smiled and stirred the gravy, imagining it poisoned with truth instead of time. Everyone came. Mom, Devin, Tanya, Joel's parents, whom I discovered were complicit in his schemes, even his brother who'd helped forge documents. The dining room buzzed with false warmth and genuine greed. They thought they were celebrating their victory. They had no idea they were attending their execution. Dinner was perfect. I'd cooked for hours, playing the role one last time. As dessert was served, Gerald and Jennifer arrived with 3 police officers and a process server. The room went silent. Joel stood, confusion morphing to fear. What's going on? Joel Thompson, Gerald announced formally, you're being served with divorce papers, a restraining order, and a criminal complaint for fraud, theft, conspiracy, and identity theft. The officer stepped forward. Sir, you need to come with us. Chaos erupted. Mom screamed, you ungrateful bitch. After everything you did. I cut her off, my voice steady despite my shaking hands. You mean after you sold information about Daddy's estate to my husband? After you helped him isolate and manipulate me? After you chose money over your own daughter? Devin lunged forward. The officers blocked him. You're destroying this family, he shouted. I laughed. A harsh, broken sound. I'm not destroying anything. I'm revealing what you all really are. Joel paid you $20,000 to spy on me, Devin. Tanya, he funded your graduate school to buy your silence. Mom, he's been giving you $5,000 monthly to gaslight me. Jennifer distributed folders to each family member. Inside, you'll find evidence of your participation in a conspiracy to commit fraud. You're all being sued for damages, and some of you, she looked pointedly at Joel and my mother, face criminal charges. Joel's mask finally shattered completely. You stupid bitch, you have no idea what you've done. That money should be mine. I worked for it. I earned it dealing with your pathetic. The officers handcuffed him as he screamed threats that would later strengthen our case. The divorce hearing was scheduled for January, fast-tracked due to the criminal charges. Joel's lawyer tried to enforce the prenup. Our response was devastating. Jennifer stood before the judge, a black woman in her 50s with eyes that had seen every con imaginable. Your Honor, the defendant entered this marriage under fraudulent pretenses. He misrepresented his financial status, coerced the plaintiff using family pressure, family members he'd bribed, and the prenup's terms are unconscionable, leaving the plaintiff with nothing despite her bringing substantial assets into the marriage. Joel's attorney, a nervous man clearly regretting his client choice, stammered objections. Then Jennifer played the recordings. Joel's voice filled the courtroom. The stupid bitch signed everything over. Once I get that inheritance, I'll divorce her and she'll have nothing. Just like the others. The judge's expression could have frozen hell. My mother's voice followed. She's always been too trusting. Robert spoiled her, made her think she was special. She deserves this for being so naive. I watched Mom sink in her seat, shame finally crossing her face. Or maybe just fear of consequences. Evidence piled up. Financial records showing systematic theft. Testimony from his previous wives. Brave women who'd agreed to speak despite their trauma. Expert witnesses explaining financial abuse patterns. By day 3, Joel's lawyer was barely defending him. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal. The prenuptial agreement is declared null and void due to fraud, duress, and unconscionable terms. The defendant will return all assets, properties, and funds taken from the plaintiff. Additionally, the defendant is ordered to pay punitive damages of $15 million for emotional distress, fraud, and abuse. Joel screamed. Actually screamed in court. That money is mine. I worked for it. You stole it, the judge corrected icily. And you'll be fortunate if your criminal trial results in anything less than a decade in prison. The fallout was nuclear. My mother faced charges for conspiracy and fraud. Her monthly payments from Joel considered kickbacks for her participation in the scheme. Devin lost his job when his employer discovered he'd been paid to spy on me. Tanya's graduate program expelled her for ethical violations. I sat in Daddy's favorite chair. I'd bought back our family home, the one Mom sold after his death, reading his final letter. Gerald had given it to me after the trial. His handwriting, shaky but determined, covered 3 pages. My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, you've survived a test I prayed you'd never face. I knew your mother's true nature, gold-digging, manipulative, cruel to anyone who threatened her comfort. I knew she'd use you, sell you out if the price was right. It broke my heart to know I couldn't protect you directly. But I could give you tools. Money, yes, but more than that, a team who'd fight for you when you couldn't fight for yourself. Jennifer and Gerald have instructions to help you rebuild. Not just financially but emotionally. You're stronger than you know, baby girl. You survived. That's what matters. The money isn't a blessing. It's a responsibility. Use it wisely. Help other women trapped like you were. Build something that matters. And please, my sweet daughter, learn to trust again. Not everyone is your mother. Not every man is a predator. There is real love in this world. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to protect you. But I'm proud of the woman you've become. You're a fighter just like me. Survive, thrive, and live well. That's the best revenge against those who tried to destroy you. I love you eternally. Daddy. I sobbed reading it. Gloria found me there, beautiful, loyal Gloria who I'd finally apologized to, who'd forgiven me instantly. She held me while I cried for the father I missed, the family I'd lost, the innocence stolen by people who should have loved me. What now? Gloria asked softly. I wiped my tears, feeling something shift inside. Now I rebuild. But different this time. Stronger. 6 months later, I stood at Daddy's grave with flowers and news. I did it, Daddy. I'm free. The words felt hollow though. Victory tastes like ashes when you realize what you lost to achieve it. Joel got 12 years. My mother got 3 for conspiracy. Devin and Tanya avoided jail but live with criminal records and shattered reputations. I recovered most of my assets plus the inheritance plus damages. On paper I'd won everything. In reality I'd lost my family. All of them. Even the illusion of who I thought they were. I started a foundation, the Robert Morrison Trust for Survivors of Financial Abuse. We help women escape situations like mine, provide legal support, financial counseling, therapy. Every woman I help feels like honoring Daddy's memory. But it doesn't fill the hole inside. Some nights I still wake up panicking, reaching for assets that might be gone. I check my accounts obsessively. I see manipulation in every kind gesture. Therapy helps, but trust, real trust, feels impossible now. How do you trust again when your own mother sold you out? When the man who promised forever was planning your destruction? Glorious as I'm healing. Dr. Mitchell says trauma takes time. I say I'm surviving, which is different from living. The money means nothing. The victory means nothing. I give it all back. Every dollar, every property. To have had a family who actually loved me. To have chosen a partner who saw me as human, not prey. I'm 35 years old, worth over $200 million and completely alone. People see the success, the foundation, the justice. They don't see me crying in empty rooms, wondering if I'll ever feel safe again. Wondering if every person who approaches me sees dollar signs instead of a soul. This is my reality now. I'm free, yes. Protected, yes. Safe, yes. But freedom at the cost of ever trusting another human being. Is that really victory? Or just survival wearing a prettier mask? If you're in a similar situation, please seek help. Don't wait like I did. But also know, even if you win, even if you escape, the scars run deep. Some battles leave no winners, just survivors. And sometimes that has to be enough. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone in your life might need to hear it. And if you're experiencing financial abuse, reach out. Organizations exist to help. You don't have to face this alone. Remember, you are not your trauma, you are not your mistakes, and you deserve a life of dignity and freedom. Stay strong.